رفقای گرامی سلام و احترامات مرا بپذیرید.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, on the outset, I would like to express my gratitude for the invitation to participate at this seminar. My nation, Afghanistan, once again became the focus of world attention. In my short presentation, I will try to elaborate on sequential events of the last 3 decades that caused us to witness of the current situation. 1978-80, the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan seized power, and the invasion of Soviet forces of Afghanistan provide the prospect for Pakistan, the United States, Arab nation, Iran, and Europe to form a religious resistance under the banner of jihad against the PDPA government. The Mujahideen leaders, composed of mullahs, religious figures, landlords, and officials from the prior government. The resistance was organized in rural areas where religion and reactionary forces had dominant influence. Political military phases signify the rural resistance against cities, and that this has continued to present time. Ethnicity, religious, and language differences in social structure of Afghanistan inspired the formation of over 70 political military organizations led by the Mujahideen. The most notable of them were Group of 7 in Pakistan and Group of 8 in Iran. Those organizations formed around 1,100 operational groups, approximately 100,000 fighters. The Mujahideen was a sporadic force based on tribe, ethnicity, language, and geography, led by a warlord in the area. Such irregularity played a major factor to shape the following episode of Afghanistan. April 8, 1992. Due to internal quarrel and lack of outside support, the democratic government and the ruling party, PDPA, collapsed. The Mujahideen seized power in Kabul. The Mujahideen force was irregular and mostly spread in rural and local areas. Warlords and jihadi political leadership did not want to abandon such an irregular army. In fact, it was a network of dictatorship. Massoud, the new Minister of Defense, obeyed Pakistan's demand, dissolved the National Army of Afghanistan, and advanced weaponry and military equipments were taken to Pakistan. Different factions of Mujahideen started a war that lasted for several years to maintain their personal gains and profits. Jihadi parties and warlords were not in favor of establishing a strong central authority. Fighting in Kabul was pursued by Massoud against Hazaras, and Gulbuddin Hekmatyar killed thousands of Kabul residents and destroyed the city. Massoud, later a national hero, was in fact the destructive hero of Afghanistan. The then director of ISI, Hamid Gul, complained that after the fall of Kabul to the Mujahideen, the United States left Pakistan alone to handle Afghan problems. Rise of Taliban. Pakistan was not pleased with the chaos in Afghanistan. On the other hand, some jihadi circles were started to defy Pakistani orders. The United Kingdom proposed to employ the Taliban for establishing a strong government in Kabul. The United States concurred, Saudi Arabia agreed to finance, and Pakistan accepted responsibility to execute the project. 1996, following a few months of fighting, the Taliban seized east, south, and west of the country. On September 27, 1996, they entered Kabul and proclaimed the Islamic Emirate. The United States and China had favorable consideration of them. By that time, Al-Qaeda, enjoying support of Taliban, was in Afghanistan. Bin Laden's rebellion from CIA obedience to the Taliban support of him led to the 9/11 events, which triggered the US NATO military invasion of Afghanistan. Reason of invasion was given: combat terrorism, establishment of a democratic government, and support rights for Afghan women. Islamist jihadi group Northern Alliance became the ruler of Afghanistan. Gradually, a number of technocrats linked to the United States joined the government. Establishment of national government to guarantee territorial integrity, sovereignty, and independence of Afghanistan was controversial due to two major reasons. A, jihadist forces were basically local. Like 18th century Afghanistan, they enjoyed control of rural areas as dictators. They considered a strong central government contrary to their self-interest, and formation of such government could have disarmed them. Second, the United States also did not show any desire for a strong central government, because such government could have expelled foreign forces and US bases from Afghanistan. Billions of dollars have been transferred to a poor country, Afghanistan, through a puppet regime that promoted widespread corruption. Warlord and Mujahideen leaders looted billions of dollars and built legendary lifestyle and palaces for themselves. Only Fahim Qasim, who received a level of elementary education, rose to the highest military rank of marshal and position of vice president. He acquired a wealth of $2 billion. US NATO-backed regimes, military commanders, and leadership have maintained their tribal and regional characteristics and links. In fact, the Afghan army was a collection of radical mercenaries funded by the United States. By signing the agreement with Taliban, practically, the United States handed over Kabul to them. Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, disregarded the fact that signing of accord with the Taliban instigated world recognition, while he was expressing that Taliban should accomplish its legitimacy. The corrupt government drove the Afghan society into decadence and enabled easy takeover by Taliban. The White House and allies, in particular the United Kingdom, are accountable for the Taliban's victory. August 15, 2021. How should the current Taliban regime be dealt with? The fall of Afghanistan government supported by the US NATO, the Afghan president and other jihadi leaders' desertion proved that Afghan people did not support the corrupt regime in Kabul and are happy of its removal. Nonetheless, people are not pleased with the Taliban's current policy. Progressive movement, women, and people of Afghanistan expect the international community and the United Kingdom government to block recognition of the Taliban's medieval government, exert pressure on Pakistan and other supporters of Taliban to form a political broad-based government, not one that is a tribal arrangement. The other important issue is regarding the second resistance movement in Panjshir. In reality, this move aimed at maintaining jihadist position linked to Jamiat-e-Islami and has nothing to do with the urgent need of people in Afghanistan. People are fed up with the Mujahideen's rule during the last 20 years and express hate of their conducts. Democratic and real patriots forces of Afghanistan must not be ignored anymore. We would like to ask all democracy funds and supporters and MPs of Labour Party to support democratic forces of Afghanistan and Afghan women versus the Taliban. Support of the Mujahideen would be reputation of a failed and shameful experience. Activists from progressive movement and women's rights are under Taliban pressure and attack. We need support of the international community and in particular the government of the United Kingdom in this regard. This is our message. Thank you for your attention.